Hello and welcome to a new devlog video for Peasant Uprise. I've been heavily focusing on building up the levels, which is something that I do not want to spoil. Thus far, each level presents something unique and different, which for me is more important than having 20 levels that are almost identical. Currently, I'm on the 6th level, and that's a good push towards getting all the levels completed. I will have to come back to all these levels for a round of polishing and a final iteration for testing and optimization. I've also got a few levels of the early access goal. While they add content and the freedom to use different paths, I think for early access there is enough content to fully enjoy the game. After release, I will probably make it a priority to add these levels to the game. Going back to my last devlog, there was an interesting topic posted in the comments regarding underground levels. While a complete underground level is a bit out of the question for a game that can have a lot of units, I was not opposed to the option of adding caves, but still hesitant, so I wanted to test it out. The challenge in this case is not technical, and it's really a game design challenge. A cave that's too big would lose the feeling of being in a cave, and too small will cause problems if you enter the cave with a good number of peasants. You also have to worry about the transition between the outside and inside. However, the decision for caves gives me the freedom to add smaller caves but not have the entire level depend on it either. So there's some room to play around with. Working on the cave was a lot of fun, trying to make the model blend with the terrain and the rest of the rocks. One of the problems I was facing was lighting. When you enter the cave, it should seem darker, but I did not want to go that far as to change the lighting intensity at runtime. That could cause performance issues and conflicts with backlighting. However, one small trick that can be done is to play around with textures, and that's a lot more simple. You can blend dark textures with existing ground paint and apply it to both the ground and the walls. The top of the cave has a transparent material and a collider, so when the peasant enters the cave, a script will smoothly change the opacity. But I didn't want it to be completely transparent, so it still gives me the feeling that you are in a cave, but transparent enough that you can see the cave and walk around it. This is a simple example, and I'll have to play a bit to see what I can do, and there is a lot that can be done making it darker and adding torches, but again, my intent is for caves to be something more subtle, not the focus of the entire level or gameplay. Even though this is just a test, I'm still interested in visualizing this in a way that looks a bit more realistic, so I decided to add some additional rocks to give it a more rugged look, and work a bit more on darkening those walls even more. While the cave on the outside doesn't look that great, that's something that I'll have to work in Blender and spend more time blending it with the terrain. Also, chances are these caves will not just be a bump on the ground, they'll be part of a hill or mountain formation, which will make it blend a bit better. Now the entrance to the cave looks a lot better. There's still some tweaking to be done with the cave top and rock placement. But the big test is really to make it a party. Despite some concerns from the peasants regarding work safety, I assured them that the cave was perfectly safe to come in. So for a test, I think this gives me a good impression. I would definitely need to make the cave a bit wider and taller. And while I don't want to change the intensity of light, maybe there are other tricks I can use to make the scene lighter, like removing the sunshaft effect when entering the cave. I would also need to block off some sections of the cave from the nav mesh so peasants don't get stuck in the rocks. So I'm going to take a screenshot here for the thumbnail and call it a day. So thank you again for another feature driven by your comments. I do respond and consider every idea that you guys post, so keep them coming. I have selected 3 questions this week for the Q&A section, and the first one asks about exchange values approach in Peasant Uprise economy system. While trading is a feature that the game offers, my intent is not to make Peasant Uprise a trading game. so there is no complex exchange mechanics that would apply supply and demand principles. But the system is set up to accept price adjustments in the level configuration, so prices in towns will be higher while prices elsewhere will be a bit cheaper. So while the prices won't be dynamically being adjusted during gameplay, they will be different per level. Regarding morale, Silent Streaker asked about permanent debuffs. Currently, peasants will rethink this whole rebellion stuff in their dreams. The lower morale, the more chances that peasant will pack up overnight and leave their rebellion. That's what's currently implemented. But I wonder whether losing a peasant due to morale is a bit harsh, and I may have to rethink this idea of either a cut in experience or a permanent debuff to stats. Playtesting will help me decide the course of action here. A follow-up question was heading on the opposite direction. If a fallen peasant gets proper blessings and funeral, wouldn't the rest of the peasants feel thirsty for revenge? I think this is a great idea to apply a temporary stats boost after coming out of a grief period. It will counterbalance the damage done, but I think it's probably out of scope for early access, and it's something that I would probably consider as a post-release feature. With that said, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next update.